Hey, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Coffee Tea, You and Me. I'm Coach Powell. You know me. We do this every Friday. We get together with entrepreneurs, business leaders, people all over the world to discuss hot topics, business issues, ideas that help small businesses get their act together, get on board with success, and make magic happen. Today's episode is going to be phenomenal. I've got a guest coach coming on board today. I got to tell you, she's a rock star. She's a superstar. She is a genius and a giant amongst all the people that she gets a chance to work with. And she gets a chance to spend some time with you today. And I'm so glad to bring her on stage. We've been back and forth on LinkedIn for quite a few years, probably. We've been connected. And Miss Chanel Evans is just a rock star. I'm so glad that she's here. So glad she's going to be able to share with you guys today. And I'm going to bring her up in just a few minutes. But before we get to that, I got to let you know what we're up to today. What we're going to be talking about today is literally the next phase of how you want to enter the execution phase of your business. Earlier this year, we were talking about planning, how important planning was, and we gave you all the tips, and we talked about planning for 6 months. We talked about all the things you need to do to make sure your plans are together. And now we're talking about how to execute those plans, right? So one of the things you need to do exceptionally well to execute your plans is understand how to use your superpower, where you have the most integrity and the highest amount of trust. And so we're going to talk about the difference between integrity and trustworthiness and how to use those two tools in a way that's going to propel phenomenal success for you and your business. Yes, you need a little bit more than just your right marketing strategy, a little bit more than just the right financial opportunities and all that kind of stuff. Yes, those things are important, and we'll be talking about all those things too in terms of execution. But we got to talk about the primary reason for you to do the things that you're doing and understanding how to take advantage and follow through with your gifts and your talents. All these things are super, super important if you're going to know how to say the right things to the right people in the right way at the right time to get the results that you need to get to propel your business forward and to keep it going forward at high levels. Nobody wants to suffer and drag along and just kind of keep catch as catch can. Okay, so now I want to share that with you. I also want to share with you that, if you guys haven't gotten your tickets to the Leverage Up conference, which is going to happen later on this month, oh my God, you got to get your tickets. It's only $49, and we have got some of the best speakers and panelists that you could ever find. Quarter after quarter, moment after moment, every hour, we're going to have people that are coming on to talk about the greatest things that are affecting small businesses all over the world. Now, that we talk about in the Leverage Up conference, we talk about strategic, high-level stuff that you're not normally thinking about as you do the day-to-day grind in your business. And this is important because if you don't understand how to deal with this strategic thinking and strategic mindset, how to deal with the politics, the economics, the social opportunities, the technology, the legal situations that you find yourself in, as well as the ecosystem that envelops all of us, then you find yourself in a very precarious position every once in a while, and you won't know what happens because you're really not paying attention to the macro level ideas and concepts. So we're going to teach you how to break that down and then how to create leverage that allow you to supersede and get above whatever the issues of the day are and however they're affecting you and your business from a strategic point of view. You're not going to want to miss this conference. If you get a chance to get your tickets, I suggest you get them now. I'm going to drop the tickets in the chat over the break, so you'll be able to pick up those tickets and get yourself registered and ready to go to this conference right away. By the way, if you know some people who might want to partner and sponsor this business opportunity, this is a virtual live conference that goes out to thousands of entrepreneurs and business leaders all over the world, and it's shown and broadcast on demand. So you don't even have to be there to see and get and take advantage of all the bonus gifts and all of the tracks that are going to be there. You know somebody who wants to partner with us and they need to get their business in front of as many small businesses as they possibly can. It is the most lucrative conference deal you can imagine we're giving because I have absolute control over it. Guess what? I don't owe anybody anything. And so I'm working on my own and I keep the cost down and the technology high. So that way we can do amazing things for small businesses. My name is Coach Powell. This is Coffee Tea, You and Me. After this break, I'm going to come back and I'm going to share with you our rock star, Miss Chanel Evans. She's back in it. She's chomping on the bits. I can see her smiling. She was dancing when the music was going on, just like I was. She's doing a great. She can't wait to share with you guys. And after these quick commercial messages, we are going to keep the party going. Okay. That's my little commercial break. I really like that little video that my buddy put together for me. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to a lady who literally needs no introduction. She is a superstar in terms of social genius, social marketing, and creating marketing opportunities when you're dealing with your media pages and everything you want to do. But I'm going to let her tell you guys about what she does and how she does it and how strong she is. And you're going to love her. I promise you. She's going to chop it up with us for a little bit. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing Miss Chanel Evans. How are you, Chanel?
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Fantastic. So, Chanel, I already know you're a genius, but other people might not know it. So tell us, why are you so good at what you do?
Yeah, so you said owning your superpower, right? So yes, my superpower, first of all, my name is Chanel. Coaches, experts, organizations hire me when they want to leverage the power of exclusivity in their business. And I do that with marketing. I do that with messaging. I do that by helping experts be able to craft ultra high ticket, ultra luxe experiences so that their clients keep clamoring for more. My superpower is being able to take clients and big visions, huge visions, their blue sky visions, and being able to break it up into tangible steps so that they can implement, so they can have that authority, really show up as the authority that they are in line, but then have somebody that's off on the sides cheering them on. So that's my superpower.
That's amazing because, as a coach, I'm often called on to help people create goals and create strategies and like you said, breaking some of the big vision things down into smaller actionable things that they could do. And I'm so glad to be able to have you on the call because I don't do this well. This is not something that I like doing. I like staying in the big vision area, where it's all fun and it's, and I understand though how it's super important because if you can't break it down to the smaller tasks, to the goals, to the day-to-day grind, to the thing that you got to do every day, then you're not sure you're actually getting to the place where you want to go. And you're just driving, you're moving forward, you're moving, but you're not sure you're moving forward in the right direction, which is super important to have those goals because those goals kind of pace out the level of your achievement. And so they need people like you to keep that party going and keep it moving in the right direction. I can work on like one thing at a time, but I can't do that's not me. I'm a visionary guy. I'm a total strategy guy. You get me down in the weeds, and we're gonna have a problem. So tell us, how'd you get involved in the business in the first place?
Yeah, so I have an accounting and finance background. And worked as a finance director for a multi-billion-dollar global construction firm. In that role, it was very broad and not just, just straight accounting. It was business development, diversity and inclusion, coordinating with marketing departments. But that job, to be honest, kind of took a toll. It was a global role. I traveled a good probably 60% of the time, most of the time out of the country with small kids at home. And so about 5 years or so ago, I left. Made the transition full-time into entrepreneurship. My husband and I, we run a nationally recognized nonprofit where we focus on kids and helping them excel in the sport of track and field. And I grew that business through social media. So 3 years ago, I decided to launch my social media and marketing firm and being able to work and create visibility, impact, and influence for businesses that really want to be able to be a champion for their community, be able to create buzz for themselves. And I do that through marketing. I do that with my marketing firm, and I also do it with my company that I've co-founded called FireSavvy.
That is super, super awesome. I'm going to be talking a lot today about how do you take your authentic influence, right, that comes from your experience, right, and then use that as a way to launch your business opportunities, your ideas, or to keep you motivated to move forward. And I can already tell you've done this, right? You've done this exceptionally well already. So you're going to really have a good time, listening to some of the things that we're going to be sharing. But I know you're going to love, as a matter of fact, chiming in a little later on. So I'm going to put you backstage for now. And if you guys want to find her, you can find her at firesavvy.net, right? And I thought I put her information. Yeah, I did. The high ticket highticketquiz.net. You can find her there too as well. What can they get from highticketquiz.net?
Yeah. So one of the questions that we get a lot from coaches, experts, professional service providers is they know that they want to build in a high ticket exclusive experience into their programs, but they don't know how to do it. And more importantly, they are not quite sure the impact it will make on their bottom line. So the highticketquiz.net literally you literally answer maybe like 4 or 5 questions. It gets a feel for what type of business you're in, what type of offer you have, and the maximum that you can make from a revenue opportunity by incorporating an exclusive high ticket experience into your business. Being able, like, for example, retreats or summits or a golf outing, something like that, and blending it with your high ticket offer.
You know, you're going to mess around and have me bring you on the team. Y'all, you know what? I was going to share her information with you guys so y'all can hire her, but I don't think I'm going to do that because I'm going to have to show you. This is how you can find, I promised her I would. So here's how you can find her information here at highticketquiz.net. So it's all right there. I'm not going to keep it to myself, people. But I am going to hire her. So we got to definitely talk about that. So I'm going to put you backstage for a minute, and then we're going to keep this party going. Okay. Thank you so very much, Michelle. You have been wonderful, and I'm sure when we come back, I'm sure you're going to share with us how amazing you actually are, even more so. Thank you so very much. Okay. Like I promised you guys, I told you. I only bring the best of the best. And there is so much talent out there that a lot of people just don't know about, don't get a chance to see. And I'm glad that Chanel's going to be here with us to chop it up after we talk a little bit. Today, we're talking literally about how to use your superpower of integrity and trustworthiness. Now, this comes from a training manual that I wrote years ago, but I'm still updating it. I'm still tweaking it. If you guys want to get to it, I'm going to put it in the chat for you in just a little bit. But before I do that, I want to make sure I go through the highlights with you really quickly of things that you need to become very, very intimately familiar with when it comes to this level of understanding how you might want to connect with your execution strategy. Now, when you're talking about execution strategy, right, it's wonderful that you can do the things that you want to be able to do, but you're doing the things that you want to do for people. You're doing the things that you want to do with people. And that means you've got to quite understand a couple things about how people tick and what makes them really, really work in terms of enjoying their life and making the business work and all that kind of good stuff. So there's a likability factor that you have to think about, right? How much do you like each other? When you're working with somebody or group or team or person or whatever, you have to figure out how that factor works into the strategy that you're going to use, whatever strategy, whatever communication, whatever you're going to be doing to envelop their universe, their world, and work with them at a high level, because you want to make sure that likability factor is high on both sides. You want to be able to say that you know, like, and trust them, they know, like, and trust you, and you're working on an even playing field. You're working from a place of mutuality, so to speak, right? And so the likability factor is something that you got to work out. And there's 4 phases to the likability factor that I think you got to think about, right? And I'm gonna tell you what those 4 phases are. We're gonna go into a sort of a deep dive into what they mean and how they work. But literally, they work around what I call the 4 phases of likability, and these are the absolute rules of adoration. How do you get somebody to basically fall in love with you, and how do you fall in love with them? What are the things, that aspects, and the concepts you have to have in place? Concept number 1 is social responsiveness. Here's what happens about this. People tend to respond favorably to your ideas. When they do that, they're demonstrating social responsiveness. They're demonstrating that they like what you have to say, who you are, they understand you, they're with you. There's a connected tissue that makes something special happen, and they feel like there's some social responsiveness. Now, I want you to understand what happens to us neurologically when we find ourselves in a mutually socially responsible situation, okay? There are 3 basic hormones that our brain deals with, right? It's dopamine, oxytocin, and serotonin. All these things are on a high level when we find connection with people and we have social responsiveness. We have that gene that kind of wakes up and allows us to be with each other, for each other, about each other, and connected to each other, right? It's that connective tissue that makes this all work. And it's super important because when you have it, you feel good about working with the person. You feel good about talking to the person. You feel good about listening to the person, which is literally the most important skill of any social communication skill, is learning how to listen, right? And then the second thing that happens to you is a sort of a time warp, right? You get into a situation where you're so actively engaged and working with that person that you lose time. Now, famed social psychologist Michelle McShitmehigh, and I always say that wrong. I don't pronounce it. It's a Eastern Asian name, McShitmehigh, yeah. And what he says is that you enter into flow state when you have a good working relationship with the right people, with your team, with your group, and you're starting to work together. You're starting to communicate on a high level, and you're all passionate about the same thing. You're very interested in the same thing, and time just kind of disappears. I call that the time warp dialogue, when you are seriously enjoying the space that you're having with them so much so that time flies. Now, you're not doing anything that you shouldn't be doing, right? You're not drinking, you're not smoking, you're not doing any kind of illegal substances or doing anything that's going to harm you physically or emotionally. But what you are doing is that you're just working together on things that you share in common. You're working together with value systems that you all agree on and you've talked about, and you share those things in common. And now when you're working, it's so much more fun. It's so much more fun. This is important, to when you are onboarding somebody into your team or onboarding somebody into your network, right? You want to make sure that this is a person that you can get along with in this way. When you're having so much fun, just enjoying space with each other. Even if you're doing hard work, you're doing it so well that time just kind of disappears and you lose time, right? That's called being in flow state and making that happen. The next thing you want to think about when it comes to the likability factor is literally, how is there a clear and mutual reciprocity of contribution? Contribution is such an important point that I have to stop and make this really clear to everybody. When you are making a contribution and you're getting the feedback, the social rewards from that feedback, meaning that contribution has been well received, right, by someone else or by another organization, another group, in the moment, not at the award ceremony later on, not later on when it comes to, no. By the way, when they do get an award or they do get a bonus or they do get something that you want to give them, that shouldn't be a surprise to them. By the way, they should know that you're feeling them a long time before they're nominated for something or they get awarded something or they get some kind of bonus or pat on the back, whatever. You want to make sure that you're always in the business of giving people social rewards. This is what I call demonstrated relationship. When someone is acknowledging what you're doing and what you're saying and what you're contributing to their organization and to their world, what happens is, again, they're feeling like they're doing something that's meaningful, relevant, and significant, right? So everybody's looking for that. Everybody's looking for meaning in their lives. Everybody's looking for relevance in their lives. Everybody's looking for significance. And it's easy to be overwhelmed by just tasks and features and techniques and strategies and all that kind of stuff. How you break that down into what's actually useful, valuable, meaningful to people around you. And then sometimes that meaning has nothing to do with profit. It has everything to do with emotional support. It has everything to do with finding a place where there's a fit and where there is a sense of belonging, right? And that leads me to the next one. Now, number 4. First of all, social responsive. You got to be have a level of social responsiveness. You need to find that time warp possibility. You have to have demonstrated relationship where there's as a demonstrative, a willingness to praise and to appreciate and to respect one another in a way that can be noticed and seen and recognized and felt, right? Then the last thing you want to see is a consistent connectivity, right? You want to see that people are enjoying and then deepening their relationships. It's okay to have a one-time transactional relationship, but that doesn't allow you for opportunities to continue that relationship. So your follow-up plan, your follow-up strategy, your consistent collaboration, these are things that allow you to continue to move forward with people. Now, what does any of this have to do with integrity and with trust? You are not going to be consistently likable with anyone if you don't have integrity and trustworthiness. Two aspects of the same concept, but they come at you in two different directions in two different ways. First of all, let's deal with integrity. Integrity is actually trustworthiness that's internal. It is your own value system. It is how you make promises and keep promises to yourself. So I'm going to ask you a question. Do you have the habit of making promises to yourself that you keep? Because when you do that, what you're building is levels of integrity based on you being able to keep your own promises to yourself. How many times do you wake up on January with this long list of things you want to get done for the year, and by February, March, you've already dropped, half of that list, right? It's not that you don't have, you don't want those things, or you don't need those things, or desire those things. You said it's your level of integrity, your personal trustworthiness is not strong enough to actually go at them. And other things might be happening to your life. Maybe you overcast, what you could commit to. Maybe you bit off more than you could chew. Whatever that is, you want to avoid that, because what happens when you make promises to yourself that you don't keep, it turns inward on you and and attacks your self-esteem, your self-concept. You don't believe in yourself. It's harder to get up in the morning and keep going, because you're not having fun. You're not really enjoying yourself, because you're not progressing in the way that you would want to progress. And the only person that knows that first is you. And so your integrity is something that you have to protect, you have to maintain, you have to mature, you have to gradually, slowly move yourself to higher and higher and higher levels of integrity. Now, as you move to higher levels of integrity, you move to higher levels of trustworthiness. Chanel can tell you that, she works with professionals all the time who already have a level of expertise. Their problem, though, is helping other people understand that level of expertise and learning how to use that level of expertise in a way where they can get the rewards that they should get based on their level of expertise, right? They already know they have the integrity of knowing, I am gifted in this particular area, whatever that area is, right? They know that, right? And they've proved it. They've taken all the courses, they've taken all the classes, they've demonstrated excellence, they've got the great grades, whatever they've done to prove that they are excellent in what they're good at, right? Here's the problem, though. No one who's relevant to the forward flow of their business or their ideas or their concepts actually knows them and knows what to do, even if they did know them. Because there are people who have loads of integrity, loads of professionalism, and their family members don't even know really what they do. They really don't even know how to access their talent and their gifts. And it takes a lot to be able to communicate that in a way that's going to be meaningful and valuable. Chanel did it perfectly. If I had to ever tell somebody, give an elevator speech, I'd be like, this is the picture perfect elevator speech. This is how you show up authentically representing not just what you do, but the effects of what you do. And that matters more, because that helps you really, really tell the story in a way that talks about the benefits that you offer, more so than just the tactics and the cost and all that kind of stuff. You're going to get down to that point of view, but you got to get people excited about it first, right? And so you got to get them an idea of what the benefits might be to them to truly engage with you. And that's when you move out of integrity and into trustworthiness. Because integrity is self-trust, right? That's your own self-trust. But trustworthiness is your ability to transfer that integrity into somebody else's hands and have them know what to do with it. That means they can show up with a level of trustworthiness, a level of faith, a level of connection to you that allows them to take action. If whatever you're sharing with them doesn't allow them to take action, it could be one of two reasons. It could be maybe you're not good at sharing what the real benefits are, or they're not good at receiving the communication and understanding how to use those benefits to their advantage. Either way, you have to have a level of excellence in your communication strategy to go, okay, for some reason, what I'm sharing with you is not ringing the bell that it's supposed to ring. And the person that you probably need to ask that question to is not yourself, right? It's them. It's then you have to have the bold conversation that says something to this effect. I need you to have a high level of trust in me, and it's obvious to me that you don't. What am I saying or doing that's keeping you from having that? Or what do I need to say or do or show you that can help elevate that opportunity? You got to ask for the trust that you want. If you're not getting it from the people that you think you should be getting it from, you probably need to get some feedback as to why. And when you get that feedback, then you have to be responsive and you have to change up and you have to be open and willing to do that. I don't care how many strategies you have, if you're not willing to be flexible and open to the feedback, especially from high stakeholders, potential investors, people who could make a difference for you, then I don't think you're really ready. Because your integrity, if it's never tested, if it's never stretched, it can't grow. You can't grow it just by yourself. It's along with your brand, right? Your brand is out there and it's for other people to experience and for you to figure out how that experience resonates with them. And when you do that and it happens to line up with what your intention was, all of a sudden you have a balance and you have a place where you can go from there and be like, oh, wait a minute, my integrity is lining up with what my brand is. And all of a sudden, pow, amazing results can happen. You can do all those things I shared with you earlier. You can get into flow state. You can start to roll in terms of the level of productivity and performance can escalate on very high levels. And instead of becoming a stressful thing for you to do your work, it becomes a renewing thing to do your work. So I'm gonna shut up right there, and I'm gonna let Coach Chanel come on back on the scene, and we'll chop it up a little bit. We'll see where we go from there. We got another couple minutes to carry on with the show, and then if we don't have any questions or anything from the audience, we're gonna call it a day. And Chanel and I are gonna have a good time with it without you.
Right, exactly. Because I'm loving the analogy that you use and the framework that you built out, because it's so important, especially in entrepreneurship and as we are going out and want to attract our dream clients. So many times in business we think we have to go out and get clients, but we want to attract clients, right? And we do that by appearing to be trustworthy. And how we show up online and how we leverage our influence is so important in terms of building that attraction, that know, like, and trust. That you said it perfectly. That trustworthiness is how people become comfortable talking with you, how people get comfortable doing a podcast with you, how they get comfortable with giving you their credit card information because they know that what they're about to pay for is what they're actually about to receive. So yes, it is something. There are, ways that we can do that through how we show up online and the content that we put out. Coach Marvin is doing an excellent job about, being consistent with his show. That even just being consistent, we know that we can walk in on his LinkedIn show every Friday and trust that he's going to be there because he's being consistent, right? So things like that, like showing up consistently, talking about the same things over and over again. Sometimes as business owners, we get tired of it's talking about our same stuff all the time, right? Because it's old to us, but it's new to our dream clients. So being able to really create that consistency so that people can know what to expect from us, what to expect from our personality, what to expect from our programs and the services that we offer. There's nothing like, have you ever been in a situation where you met someone online, you spent a little time with them, and then you met them in person and it was like a disconnect? Because you were like, okay, this person I didn't get that vibe from them online. I did not get that vibe from them. But that builds into the trust piece of it, right? So how you show up really does affect that trustworthiness so that your dream clients, collaborators, people that want to invite you to their stages, they know what to expect from you.
Man, that is so true. And the authenticity of showing up in the same way every place that you show up, man, it does so much for you. A lot of people don't get that. They think that, we can't do this online stuff. Like, Well, first of all, you didn't have a choice, and now you're not going back to, because people are gonna. I talked to somebody today, and they were like, I really want to meet you, and I said, wait, time out before we do that. Can we have an online session before either one of us gets in the car and spends whatever money we got to spend to travel however far we got to travel and get all dolled up and dressed up, go to some fancy restaurant or whatever that is, only to find out that we really don't like each other.
Right. Like you said, that is awkward, or you don't have that flow state or that sense of likability.
All right, and we can figure that out right on a Zoom call, or really quickly, and not waste our time, or agree to just be friends and move on to the next level. There's not going to be a connection there that we can do anything with. And so I think people make the mistake of throwing all their effort and their time into sometimes it's their pitch. And I'm like, okay, first of all, your pitch should not be something that's difficult for you to do. If it's difficult, you find it difficult to just show up authentically representing what you do, then it's gonna look like you don't know what you do.
Right, exactly. We don't trust you.
So you can see just trust is going down the drain right there. It's like, oh, this is not working. This is not gonna work. You clearly don't know the game that you're playing, and so therefore, I'm not gonna bring you on my team.
Right.
I gotta know. If I'm bringing you on my team, I gotta know what position are you quarterback? Are you good at it? Are you defensive end? What is your position? What do you do? What do you do exceptionally well? Don't tell me I'm a football player. That's great. I don't care. I'm looking for a lineman or whatever that is. You know what I'm saying? So in fact, I'm looking for a left tackle. Kind of. And so you want people, especially people who have an expertise. Show up in your expertise. I can't stand to meet a doctor who tells me, well, I'm a medical professional.
Yeah, that could be anything. That could be you working the front desk, to you taking blood pressure, to you sending off the blood work, to actually doing surgery. That literally could be anything.
And now, I got to practice my listening and ask deep questions in order to get down to the stuff that you should be sharing with me right up front. You should be sharing with me right up front. I'm a world-class podiatrist.
Right.
I'm one of the best, anthro, whatever it is, that you ever seen. I've got papers out about this, that, and the other. I speak at conferences and I talk about blah, 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 blah. Now, you don't want to overwhelm me with jargon and stuff that, I can't possibly know because I didn't go to medical school. But you do want to make it, you give it to me in 7th grade language, whatever it is, if you got to be willing to break down what you do in a language that people are easy for people to understand. And then they can go, ha ha ha, I don't need you, but I know somebody else who might need you. And I trust you because you can clearly speak for the gifts and the talents that you have.
Right. And
the benefits that you offer.
Yeah.
If you can't talk to me about the benefits that you offer, why are we talking?
Right.
I got people who got benefits for me, and I God put me on here to go find those benefits so I can maximize what I'm doing. Right.
And to be able to do it in a very clear, concise way. To your point, being able to just speak who it is you are, who you serve, and what you do in a very clear, concise way. To even just open up the opportunity for a conversation. During that conversation, we can have, more of an in-depth conversation or a chat or ask further questions. But being able to be very clear and succinct about what you do and what you offer.
If people don't ask, well, how do you do that? I did a horrible job. If I'm presenting my thoughts and my ideas, my business, whatever it is, and people don't go, they're not leaning and going, well, tell me more. Or how do you do that? Or well, how did you
that sounds interesting or something.
If you're not giving me that kind of feedback, and I got a couple seconds to make that happen. If you're not making, I messed up. I moved on. I don't know who I'm talking to. I don't know what I'm talking about. It's my fault. I'm not going. I'm even coming back to it because clearly, I'm not going to be able to move this any further. And and I gotta go into listening mode because talking is not working. It's not something that I should be doing right now. I don't know enough information, right?
Right.
'Cause I thought that I knew what I was talking about when I opened up my mouth, but that clearly is not. That's the feedback. You can get that immediately. That's why I love working with people face to face. You can get it immediately if they're connected to you, if they're with you. But you got to be paying attention, even if you're communicating, even if you're talking. You got to be paying attention, because if you don't, you're going to miss all those nonverbal cues that tell you, nah, I ain't feeling you. Whatever you're talking about, that's some crazy.
I'm confused. I'm not paying attention. Something didn't really resonate.
Or I'm just waiting for my turn to talk.
Right.
You gotta love it. You gotta love it. So Chanel, tell us more about what you do. I know you work with professionals, helping them basically expose their brand at a higher level so they can get better results. Yeah. I get it. But who do you really like working with? Do you like, I know you highlighted coaches. Is it just coaches you like working with, or do you like working with other professionals?
Yep. So these are clients that tend to come to me. They're either agency owners, professional service providers, or coaches. They tend to come to me and they're like, okay, I'm doing well in my business. I'm making decent money. I have, clients that love me. However, they've reached the income ceiling. They've reached like a plateau in their revenue and they're trying to break free of it. And sometimes they're very clear on what that looks like. Sometimes they're not very clear on what that looks like. A lot of times what that looks like for them is that, they want to create new offers, but they don't want to do that by running expensive ads, or they don't want, to take on any more clients because they're already bottlenecked in their business. They want an easier way of being able to create income in their business on a recurring monthly revenue basis. But the other clients will also come to me if they're like, okay, I am making decent money in my business, but it's not consistent. Or they recognize that what they are saying, what we talked about earlier, what they're saying doesn't attract the client that they want. Right. The way that they're showing up is not consistent with the powerhouse work that they do. And as a result, they're bringing in clients that are either not at their dream level or at a service level that they want to continue with. And so what we do is I do a deep dive into clients' marketing practices. I do a deep dive into their messaging. I do a deep dive into their offer structure, because sometimes, we do business the way that we're used to doing it, not recognizing there are other opportunities to be able to restructure offers or blend your offers with a more streamlined approach so that it can lead to less work, less overwhelm, but also building that client retention piece of it. So I happen to do that through helping my clients build out a high ticket conversion event. That can look like a 3-day mansion retreat. That can look like building out like a virtual summit. That might look like even a masterclass can have exclusivity built into it. But the ultimate goal is for my clients to be able to reach that recurring revenue that they're looking for.
Fantastic. Man, you like a, whew, I'm not even going to try to explain what it is I heard you just say, because I heard it all. But I'm like, my mind is blown because you're like an extravagant event planner, marketer, strategist, just overall genius in terms of how, people need to restructure and rethink about their brand.
It's really about igniting their influence so that they can get the monthly revenue that they're looking for. In some ways it may relate to how you're showing up on social media. Some ways it may relate to there's a disconnect between what you offer and how you're offering it and how your expertise is packaged.
I'm gonna call you the social media whisperer.
Okay,
that's gonna be my new nickname for you. Dr. Chanel Evans, the social media whisperer.
Yes, I like that. I'll take it.
She'll do the analysis for you and figure out wait, you think you look good, but maybe you don't really look like you think you need to look for this particular market. So let's make sure you got alignment between what you're saying and how you're showing up, so that there's alignment there. And I love that. It's so important,
and it's so easy to when we're in our business, it's hard to look at because we're inside of it. We're grinding it out, but when being able to have a fresh set of eyes and advisor come in and kind of take a look at it from a fresh perspective, it just gives most of my clients get so much clarity from it.
That reminds me of what I was once being interviewed to do a TED talk, and I thought, well, this is gonna be a slam dunk. I could do this. I should be doing these. They should have been called on me. Right. And then when I interviewed with a young lady, and she was a good friend of mine, and she said to me kindly, Marvin, you're not telling me anything that other coaches haven't already told me. So you don't have any really differential advantage that you're sharing here. And I'm thinking, what? I'm special. What do you mean? Of course I'm saying different things. And then I realized, oh, okay. There really isn't that much of a difference. I'm really truly being objective, right? And I'm looking at the situation, like taking myself out of the picture, taking my ego out of the picture, right? Looking at it, you know what? I'm really, at that point, I really wasn't doing anything that differentiates me from other coaches, even though I thought it was special. Right. Not really. So I had to really start thinking about, like, wait, what do I do that's different? And then once I figured that out,
you put your ego aside too, because that's so hard for us to do.
Tell me about it. Tell me about it. I have to do it every day because I got two girls in my house, and they tell me quite a bit. Like, you know what, you ain't all that. So, I could try to put my big boy pants on all I want to. That don't really work. It don't really work. Not in my house. So I had to get that ego in check a long time ago. And I had to keep it in check too. Right. You don't really get away with anything. So Chanel, it was wonderful talking to you. I'm sure that this, by the way, is going to be shown on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and it's simulcast on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube all at the same time. And you're going to have an opportunity to, get the tape or do whatever you want to do, cut it up or slice me out if you want to, and all that kind of stuff. I'll get you copies of that, all that kind of stuff. But I'm going to have you wait backstage for a second. I'm going to close the show out, and then you and I can chit chat. Guys, I told you, this is, I create these rock star moments, and because I know who I have, like just Chanel even said, who you have in your social media, who you've been connected with and sharing with over the years. I can already tell that I already knew she was a like-minded spirit, and I knew that she would get along well with the listening audience that I bring to the table. So I'm hoping you guys enjoyed the show today. It was fantastic for me. Again, if you want to get your tickets to the Leverage Up event, let me make sure I get that. I put that link in the chat for you guys, because I promised you I would, and I didn't get it done. So let me go. I got so excited about our guest speaker. I'm like, wait a minute, I gotta handle my business like I'm supposed to here. Oops, that ain't even the right one. All right, here we go. I got you now. Okay, so let me put this in the chat. This is the link to the Leverage Up event, guys. If you guys want to come, that'd be great. There's a couple seats available. It's pushing it out to, I think we pushed it out to September. Late September, early September, the first weekend in September. We push it out to that. And so people who are the Friday night event is going to be incredible. Then all day Saturday, all virtual. We're going to have a great time just sharing as many episodes and opportunities as we can. There's lots of bonus prizes. It's about so far I've collected almost $20,000 worth of bonus gifts and prizes for attendees. So if you come, you can participate in that. If you buy a ticket, you can participate in it as well. If not, then you're not gonna get the opportunity. So I hope you guys have a good time. I'm gonna close out the show. We'll see you next week. This is Coffee to You and Me. It's Coach Powell signing out.